One of the top strategies of effective sellers is that they are able to get inside of their client's ecosystem. Can you do this effectively? I mean, I'm not talking surface level. I mean, really getting inside and understanding and being internal so you can close the deal quicker. Well, on today's episode, we're going to give you 5 steps, 5 things that you can do to make sure you get inside your client's ecosystem. You're going to love it. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And if this is your first time watching one of our podcasts, listening to one of our episodes, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel as well.
The first part about it is, in understanding the key stakeholders, first you sort of have to understand what you're selling, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we sell simple things like cables to connect things together, right? Everyone can understand a cable. You buy a TV and a VCR in the old days, or a DVD or whatever, you have a different kind of cable. It used to be RCA, now it's HDMI, now it's optical. I mean, we sell products like that, but for our business. And sometimes you're selling the instruments on either end, $100,000 analyzer, or you're selling base station antennas for 150 sites, or new technology, 5G, 4G, that kind of a thing. So first you need to understand what product you're talking about at the, for the subject at hand, right? And so, for instance, if we are selling, let's use the example of the antenna, right? Antennas go up on the towers, right? And it serves a bunch of different purposes, right? Of course, it propagates the signal to your cell phone, and it receives the signal from your cell phone. That's your signals are going from your phone up to the tower, right? Yeah. And so having the proper antennas is what makes or breaks these networks. And so the first thing you have to say is, okay, who cares at the carrier about that, right? So one, and I'll just sort of summarize it. I don't want to get too technical and sure. bore the audience, but you need to know the size and weight of the antenna, and the people that are responsible for mounting those antennas are going to have something to say about the antenna, because they're putting loading on the tower, right? In windstorms, every antenna is like a sail on a sailboat, right? It creates something for the wind to grab. So you're going to need to know that person's going to be responsible at some point in the process, right? The big part of what we had gone over for these sort of highlights as well is, we've identified who the people are. Of course, prior to doing the delivery of the instrument or the antennas or whatever kind of commodity you sell, doesn't matter, it could be software, you've isolated the stakeholders. Then you have to start talking to them and figuring out what they need so that you're positioning the correct product, right? And and that's done through a series of meetings. Could be Zoom meetings, could be face-to-face, and where you're really trying to discover what the right thing is. And then that moves us on to this thing where I talk about the only the right people and the punch perfect pitch and close, right? And so we have a rule. I wrote it down in the book, and it's like, never invite anyone to a meeting that isn't necessary. And if the person's at a meeting and they feel, like in my business, and they realize that they're not necessary, they're free to leave, right? And that's not, I didn't make that up. Obviously, it's a lot of people talk about that in on LinkedIn and what have you. But we really do follow that philosophy, because they're not adding value or wasting their time, and you want to speak to the real audience. Because you already know who the CEO is, all those other people. You can isolate them later for the financial decision, the technical decision, whatever it is, because you might be presenting it for a specific, purpose. The technical, you might be doing a technical presentation or a financial presentation, right? The punch, perfect pitch, and close is really a fancy way of saying, don't do crappy presentations. And so the first part is the punch. It's the punch, perfect pitch, and close. That's actually what it is, right? It's not the punch perfect. It's like, don't perfectly punch them. Although you do want the punch to be perfect, but the punch, it's nothing earth-shattering. I mean, it's basically it can be as simple as making a noise, making a loud noise, playing a video, which will grab their attention, maybe change their emotional state, state a really fact that they don't know, but that's kind of shocking. You know what I mean? Like 50% of our customers, get, a 20% increase or something like that, right? Somehow you punch them with something to change their state and wake them up. And that sort of gets everybody captivated and engaged. And a lot of people don't really do the punch, and that's why I find it to be one of the most important parts of the presentation. You grab and snap them to attention. Imagine if you're buying a car and they start with a video of the car, on a racetrack or whatever. Like you'd be paying attention, right? Kind of thing. That's the concept behind it, right?
Yeah.
The perfect pitch. I do go over it in the book, and it's given the time, I won't go into great detail, but it's essentially, I talk about the power of three. Always package things in threes. Small, medium, large, that sort of thing. Not small, medium, large, extra large, 2x, and because people get lost in the
Yes.
Right. Obviously tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. These are the basics of, and I go at length on all of those parts of what a perfect presentation looks like a perfect pitch. And then the close, right? And oftentimes the product you're selling, you could maybe immediately walk away with a purchase order, or purchase requisition of sorts. Our business is not really like that, right? We're always closing for the next available win, for instance. Like they didn't know if our instrument would be good at all. We bring it in and we sort of give them a demonstration, punch perfect pitch, and then we close them for a 2-week trial or something like that.
Yeah.
So for me, the close is all about building the attraction. I talk a lot about attraction in the book, and natural attraction, not braggadocious attraction, like where you're walking in all muscle bound, in a muscle shirt, and, showing off your six pack. I mean, that's not attraction in my opinion. In my opinion, you're showing a product or a service or whatever it is you do in its most favorable light, and so that its value is self-evident, right? I give lots of examples in the book how this is where you don't need to be convinced that something is awesome, right? And so if you build a series of attraction building events throughout your qualification, what do you need? Oh, we need to do this. Okay. Have you ever considered upgrading your instruments to get faster results? Yes. Okay. And then of course, if we were able to show those improvements, is that something your budgets would allow this year, next year, something like that, right? Just you've gone through all the steps, and by the end, the perfect close is the one where the customer's saying, well, how can I buy this?
Yeah. If folks want to get check out the book and to connect with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
Easiest way would be my website, which is glennpoulos.com, and everything's there listed, and the guide is there as well. So
come on, man.
Yeah.
This is a win-win-win.
Yeah.
That was Glenn Poulos. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Listen, I do this podcast because I want you to thrive and succeed. I've been there. I want you to find more of your ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to close more deals. I want you to be so successful that I'm telling you about the sponsors. These are people that I adore. Their tools and their services are things that I found benefit from, and I know you can find benefit from as well. So please go ahead and try that as well. All in all, I want you to raise your level of thinking. I want you to go out and do big things.